Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 184, Consequences. When I was a little girl, my mom had a very tall dresser, and on top of it was a box, a wooden box, maybe about 8-10 inches tall. And on top of that was my grandmother's button box. Oh, I loved that button box. There were so many amazing treasures in there. And my mother told me I should never get into it. Consequently, it was up really high. My mom had her sisters and her mother over. They were having tea. And so my mom put me down for a nap in her room. I don't think I certainly wasn't 3 yet. And that button box kept calling to me. So I pulled the drawers out on the dresser and got into them and got into them and got into them and climbed up high enough and got my hands on that button box. And just when I did, the button box and the wooden box that it was on top of all went backwards, and so did I. Landed on the ground hard enough, I couldn't breathe, knocked the breath out of me. I imagine it was probably 6 or 7 feet up in the air that I fell from, and I was a 2-year-old. I wasn't very big. Of course, it was very loud and very noisy. Buttons flew everywhere. My mom ran in there, as did my aunts, and kind of shook me till I started breathing again. And then my mom asked me if I was okay, and I was, and then she whooped my behind. So I was alive, and then she spanked me. The point was, there were consequences. I was told to leave that alone, and I did not. And I made a gigantic mess. I scared the daylights out of my mom and my aunts and got a huge whooping that I can really tell you I haven't yet forgotten. Though I continued to climb things and I would sometimes go after things that really excited me, I did not forget the consequences of my actions. When I was a young woman, I had a motorcycle and a truck and a really beautiful car, a Nissan 240 SX, and I would speed, and consequently, I had a number of speeding tickets in my lifetime. It was going to cost me money if I was going to break the law and speed. In life, there are definitely consequences. One of the greatest things that we can do is nurture a deep understanding in our children of the law of cause and effect. If you eat well, in general, you will have a strong and healthy body. If you eat carelessly, particularly if you do it for decades, you are very likely to have heart trouble or diabetes. If you absolutely refuse to stop smoking, and you smoke and you smoke and you smoke for decades, it is extraordinarily likely that you will have COPD, emphysema, or lung cancer. Yeah, those are direct consequences of choices that people make. Our children need to understand that in this world where we live, there are consequences. You stay up half the night partying with your friends and you have class the next day, including an exam, chances are you won't do as well on that exam as you might have if you had gone to bed at a reasonable time, studied a little bit, and were well rested and had clarity of thought when you sat down to take that exam. Now, I acknowledge to you that some 17 to 20 something year olds are young and healthy and strong enough. Sometimes they can party the whole night long, never even go to sleep, and still walk into a class and ace an exam. I've seen it, but it isn't as likely, and it isn't very wise. So we want our children to understand consequences. In order for that to happen, we have to delineate for them clear rules and establish for them what the consequences are going to be should they break the rules. This is a part of their early life in order that they can understand a very firm concept of life. You want to help them to nurture in them an understanding of cause and effect so that they see there are natural consequences to things that go on in this world. I'll give you an example. Your child says to you, Mom, I really want to dance. Okay, then I'm going to get you different kinds of music and let you listen, and I'm going to let you watch some dance videos or even dance movies, and we'll get a sense of what you like and what kind of dance you want to do. So you love Swan Lake. I'm going to let you have ballet. Let me tell you, here are some consequences that we might not think about. You say, oh, I really love ballet, but I don't have ballet in my town, so I'm going to take jazz and tap. I'm not telling you there isn't a little crossover in terms of grace or control of your body. Those are nothing the same. The training and the discipline that happens to your body in certain forms of dance are not replaceable by other kinds. It's like you say, I want to grow up and be a basketball player, but I don't have a basketball hoop and I don't have a basketball, so I'm going to play baseball instead. Yes, it'll increase your eye-hand coordination. It might increase your strength, but they aren't just the same. Consequently, the consequences of that are that you may never grow up and be an incredible basketball player if you don't get your hands on a basketball and you never get to practice with the net. Kids need to know that even in those very basic, essential ways, there are, in fact, consequences in the world. If you go outdoors and it's really cold, and it's pretty chilly here today, which is why I have my mitts on because I'm a little chilly, and you don't wear gloves, you don't wear a coat, you don't wear a hat, and it's below freezing. I'm talking 26, 27 degrees. If you're out there very long, you know what? You can get frostbite on the tips of your ears. You can get frostbite on the tips of your fingers. Some people, I wish I weren't telling you this, but I know it to be a fact, have literally had to have parts of their ear cut off or have lost the feeling in the ends of their fingers because of frostbite. Kids need to understand there really are consequences to lots of decisions and lots of actions in this world. There just are. Kids need to understand consequences go the other way. You do your schoolwork, you complete your chores, you keep your room reasonably clean, you make your bed every day, you cooperate with your mom and dad. Oh my gracious. Really, you have a smooth, well-running, great environment in which to live. You refuse to pick up your room. You will not go to school. You absolutely refuse to do your homework. You fight with your mom and dad at every turn, and your mom and dad are frequently frustrated with you, and you are frequently grounded or in really big trouble. You chose that. You chose to create that environment within your home, even as a kid. The consequences are reasonably far reaching. It will drive me insane to hear people say, well, I can do what I want to do. It doesn't really matter because it's not hurting anyone else. Wow. Don't try to kid me. You might need to try really hard to kid yourself, but it's not going to be working on this girl here. And don't let it work on you as a mom or a dad when your kid goes, well, I can do whatever I want because it's really not going to hurt anybody but me. Oh, yeah, buddy, it actually is. And let me tell you, Mom, let me tell you, Dad, you do foolish things. You do ridiculous things. You go out and waste your paycheck getting drunk or high a weekend or so a month. You go out and run around on your spouse. You don't discipline your children or care for your children or appropriately provide for your children and say, yeah, I'm not really hurting anybody but myself. Yeah, please. Yes, you are. You are hurting them and you need to knock it off. And if you need help knocking it off, by all means, email me, text me, do something, call up a counselor. Quit kidding yourself because our actions have consequences that often go on a lot longer and far deeper than we ever imagined. And your kids really need to understand this. And the sooner they understand this, the better. We don't have control over a lot of the parts of our lives. Let's be truthful. We really don't. Did you choose to be born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? Did you choose for your mom and dad to move to Denver, Colorado when you were 6 because your dad got a new job? No. You let's be serious now. You don't get a lot of choices as a kid. You really don't. You have to live with the consequences of the choices your mom and dad make. That's a real deal. Your kids need to know that. Your actions have consequences, and so do mine. So you own up to the consequences of your actions as a parent, and you help your child understand there are direct consequences in relationship to decisions and actions in action when you refuse to cooperate or follow the rules within the household, or when you refuse to cooperate and follow the rules within society. Honestly, let's get serious. You don't want to follow the rules of society and culture, and you go out and repeatedly break the law, your behind's going to end up locked up in a jail cell. Let's talk about some consequences. And you decide you're going to get high every single day and basically check out on life. The people who love you and care about you are going to be heartbroken. That is a consequence. You treat the people that you care about respectfully, kindly, with great interest in their life, and this includes your children. And the consequences of that are close, rewarding interpersonal relationships. There are consequences to everything, and kids need to understand that. And the sooner they understand it, the better. Let me tell you, instinctively, babies know this. They know if they scream and cry long enough, someone's going to come. That's a consequence. Wow, this actually works. Kids are pretty smart. They catch on pretty fast about what works. You need to know as an adult what works, and you need to implement things within your home that cause those things to happen. That's on you as an adult. This is part of why we have this channel. It's part of why we talk on a regular basis. If you never think about this, if it's never crossed your mind before, what in the world do I actually want my home to look like? Do I want my child to turn out like? Do I want our environment to be? Then you really need to start thinking about that long and hard and go back and listen to every episode you can get your hands on, because there are consequences to your decisions and your actions, and there are consequences to your inactions and your indecision. So as a parent, you got to get a hold of this. Then you help your child understand that there are consequences. I want to tell you that this precedent was laid down for us by God Almighty Himself. He told His chosen people, Israel, that they could do this and it would go well with them. They could do this and it was going to go terribly wrong. And they got to choose. God does that with us today. He tells us life choices we can make and how those will turn out, and other life choices we can make and how those are going to turn out, and He allows us to choose. You need to give that right to your children. You need to explain to them within your home setting. You can follow the rules, you can cooperate, you can be an active part of this family, you can disobey, you can fight, you can be a rebel, you can say, forget all of you people. This will bring consequences that will bring joy and peace and stability within our home. And this will bring you discipline and correction. And I will still love you. I will not stop loving you, but I cannot approve of your actions when they're inappropriate and hurtful to others. So there are consequences within this home environment. You get to choose. Because let's be truthful, even a 2 or 3-year-old gets to choose. They really do. And you need to teach them the benefit of choosing wisely. I hope this has been some help to you today. I would love your comments or your suggestions or questions, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.